Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of Manthan. And I am Linsu Koshi. As we have been meeting quite a while now, and this is the fifth episode. I'm very glad to introduce the speakers for today, as we have Dr. Sagarika Devaburman, and along with us, Pravasi ji is also here. So, would like to brief you a bit about Dr. Sagarika, because you know the kind of accolades that she has got, that is tremendous. I mean, I have gone through her entire profile, so many awards she has got. If we have to go through the awards itself, that in itself will take some, a good 20 minutes. So I don't want to go in detail into that. Yeah, but yes, you must check her profile. She's a wonderful speaker. She is, a communication coach, and she has been in this industry for more than 20 years now. So she is doing a wonderful job. And I would like to welcome Sagarika on behalf of ISTD. And also we have Mr. Pravasi Bhushan. He is Associate Director, ENY, and he has been working in the L&D space for quite a while now, and he has been managing more than various profiles specifically into L&D, and wherein he's a learning a learning designer, a project lead, and he's been a business partner with various organizations, right? So welcome both of you for the session, and it's an honor to welcome both of you. And we have a new moderator who is a good friend of mine, Sudhir Gupta ji. He also has got more than 20 plus years of experience. He has more than 2 decades of experience, and he has been to the L&D space. But prior to that, he was in banking industry. So welcome, Sudhirji, and the session is all to it's your session now. Please take it forward from here.
Yeah, thanks, Linsu, for introducing our wonderful speakers, and also introducing myself in a very humble and a very generic way. And thanks also to our panel of audience, Parag ji, Deepak sir, and Anubhava ji, and many others. So I'm not able to see much on the screen. So I am welcoming all the audience as well. So as you are well aware, this is the another series of the ISTD Manthan, and this is the fifth in the series. And the topic is very, very close to each and every individual on this earth. That is connection quotient. So how we are building a connection quotient with ourselves, with our team, with our family, with our environment, with our society, and in the organization, and as a world as a whole. So not taking much of the time. So there are two things which are coming up to my mind. And first question which is coming is, how can you begin to make your way back to making meaningful connection in a business world that assures continuity and is gaining speed in the much faster and competitive world today? So firstly, I would like to have the view of Dr. Sagarik.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Gupta. I would like to break down this question into two parts. First, I would like to explain what is the meaning of really meaningful connection. Well, meaningful connections happen due to meaningful communication. We are too much into the technology of communication, but we forget the fundamental instrument, which is the mind. And if the mind is blocked, there is no device which can make up for this inability to communicate with ourselves and others. So therefore, we have to be, firstly, be ready to emotionally connect with others. That requires time, energy, and effort. We need to genuinely care about others. So this cannot happen on its own. You have to sit with yourself first and deliberately know yourself. You have to identify what is sacred in you and what is your dark side. What are your beliefs and values? When you do this, only then you embrace both the dark side as well as what is sacred in you. You develop a sense of compassion for yourself, and therefore you automatically develop compassion for your fellow human beings because they are similar to you. They have the same sufferings which you have within you, and you can identify yourself with them. And therefore, you can then consciously connect with them. Now, coming to the next part, which is about speed in business. Now, speed in business has resulted in a lot of rapid innovation and therefore rapid obsolescence, which includes human beings and human skills. And therefore, we are pressurized to work under high performance conditions, greater employee contributions, and enhancement of the quality and the quantity of our interactions. And therefore, it becomes necessary in business to understand a fundamental thing, which is we have to have the ability to understand other people's opinions and positions, which may be different from us, accept them while we are standing in our own shoes. This is a very important aspect of developing meaningful connections in a business. Another very important part of business is trust. We have to trust people, but trust doesn't happen on its own. And there are many factors to trust. But one of the most important factors which lets trust to prevail is reducing the amount of self-interest. It has to be a healthy form of self-interest, along with a sense of integrity and a sense of positive intent where you really care and have concern for others. You have to connect with people consciously, with your whole self. Therefore, emotions form a very important part wherein you show genuine concern and care for others. So you see yourself in your team and you see your team in yourself. That is very important. And you don't stop conflict. You allow conflict to happen so that there is no artificial harmony. There is genuine harmony within the team, within the business, within the organization. So this is my view about how to create meaningful connections in the business world, which is changing at a rapid rate.
That's really sounding wonderful. And would I have also Pravasi Bhushan perspective on his thoughts on this aspect?
Sure, Sudhir. And I think Dr. Sagarika covered almost everything that I could think of. So let me just add a few bits from a business perspective and probably from experience itself. One of the things that we have realized in the last 4 or 5 years specifically is that the world has broadened itself into the virtual world. A lot of us were working from different parts of the country in the last 3-4 years. And I, fortunately, because of my role in global learning, I've been doing that for almost 7-8 years now. And the points that Dr. Sagarika raised are very crucial over here. For example, that you need to be authentic in your conversations to be able to build that trust. You need to be involved in those conversations to build trust with your team members. But the other aspect is if you are dealing with stakeholders across the globe, then you need to understand those stakeholders and their cultural backgrounds so that you are able to build those connections. And that's one of the places or one of the areas where I feel there is a lot of misinformation out there. We tend to look at people through the lens of which country or which geography they are coming from. I'll give you a very simple example. For example, if you pick India, you cannot say that all Indians are similar. Forget about all Indians being similar. You travel 100 kilometers from Delhi and you will find that the culture has changed dramatically in terms of the way professionals are. So that's one thing that I personally felt that I had to invest in and I had to learn so that those connections are more meaningful and they are genuine connections. The other piece, again, just quickly talking about the virtual world is a lot of our conversations happen on Zoom, for example, what's happening right now, which takes away the human component if you switch off the video. And it's absolutely fine. There are times when switching on the video isn't a possibility because of various reasons. But the more often you can do that, the more you are able to connect, because people can see you, and that just brings in a different side of emotion, which when you're talking just to a computer cannot bring in. And the last piece that I would say is in the virtual world, we had to devise new ways in which we can connect. So for example, when all of us were going to office in person, you would have those coffee breaks together, you would have those water cooler conversations. We tried to recreate those virtual coffee kind of conversations in a virtual environment, and that worked very well for us. So those are some of the practical bits and an extension of what Dr. Sagarika already said.
Very well shared, Pravasi Bhushanji. And what I can gauge from both our speaker is that when we are talking about connection quotient, it is how well we are getting connected with our inner selves. That only will bring the best of the outer self. So unless we are well connected with our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, our reflection on our own ways of working towards the life, that will only come while we are executing and implementing into the real life chapter. But I have another question, and I would like your Pravasi Bhushan, your perspective. Why this building meaningful relationship in with oneself and the environment is the cornerstone of growth, both on a personal and a professional level? Your perspective on that.
So, Sudhir, if I can start on a slightly philosophical note, we tend to equate happiness. Let me take a step back. So one is, all of us are extremely competitive. We all are running after success. And at some point in our lives, we equated success to happiness. In general, I think at a certain age in your life, and I am at that age, wherein you realize that success is not equal to happiness. There are many other things in when you're talking about happiness. So in that rush to be successful, we keep setting goals for ourselves, and we keep telling ourselves that, okay, if I achieve this, then I'll be happy. But that's momentary happiness, because the moment you get there, you realize that, okay, there is another goal that I want to set for myself, and I want to run after that. So coming back to the question itself, and I'll probably approach this in the order that I understood it over my life. So when I passed out of my MBA, I joined a firm as an HR consultant, and within the first 15 days, I realized that I don't like what I was doing. I was fortunate to be part of a family who was for their time, because this is early 2000s, they were quite open in their thought process. So when I spoke to my dad that, okay, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, he said that don't do it, because you will not be able to do good if you're not enjoying what you're doing. I quit that job, picked up a job in learning and development, probably at 1/3 the package. And all of us know that package is a big thing. Every time MBAs pass out, package is the biggest thing, right? I took up a job which was 1/3 the package that I was earlier getting. But in the last 18 years, I have been with L&D, and I have been doing something that I enjoy doing. And that's the reason probably today I can look back and say that I have been quite successful in what I have been doing. And initially, when I started, even in the world of L&D, I started with the thought process that my work will take me to places, the quality of work that I do. So a lot of my time was invested in between me and the computer, because I was thinking the quality of my work is what's going to bring me success. As I grew through the ranks, I realized that interacting with people is quite crucial, and building those relationships are important as we move up. And that's when I realized that it's not only when you're building relationships, going back to the earlier point, you need to be intentional about it. You need to be authentic about it. You need to give your 100% to a relationship so that it gives something back in return. And you need those relationships as you grow, not only just to grow, but to enjoy the entire journey. So it's not about the goal that gives you happiness, it's the journey that should give you happiness, as a lot of people say. And eventually, a few years back is when I realized that, okay, I'm looking for something more than just happiness in professional sphere. And that's when I realized that, okay, I should be looking inwards as well. And that's where I started investing more in my own self. And when I say investing more in my own self, I invested in the closest relationships that I have. I invested in my own learning. So for the first time in my life, I'm learning something for the fun and the enjoyment of it. So I'm doing my doctorate, not to achieve something in my professional career, but just because I love the journey that I'm going through. And the final piece is I'm also fortunate to have a partner in my life, my partner in crime, who thinks quite alike. So a few years back, we decided that we will be taking a lot of breaks through the year rather than working all 365 days. And what it did was every time we took a break, when we came back, we had that much more energy to give back to our work. And that's where, going back to the question you asked, so the connection with my own self and the people around me, which includes my immediate contacts in terms of personal relationships as well as work relationships, give me the happiness that I was looking for. And that's the reason the work that I'm doing automatically becomes better and it supports growth. Those were my thoughts, Sudhir.
Very well put in, Pravasi Bhushan. And can I have your perspective also, Dr. Sagarika, on this perspective? Why? Because if we have a question of why, for what is the connection quotient, then we are well sure going into the right direction of our life. Your views on that?
Thank you. I completely agree with what Mr. Pravasi Bhushan said. But personally, for me, it has been a journey. A connection has been on a journey where I have rediscovered myself and learned many things, learned from others, and had a better perspective of who I really am, through the reflections of these meaningful connections in my life. And professionally, I feel within an organization, if there is a lot of emotional bonding and trust, what happens is the person in the head, the leader, is able to therefore move outside the organization and connect with people outside the organization. And this helps in improving business. And that is how today we have a lot of social entrepreneurship. And we are speaking about people, profit, planet, all at the same time, and purpose above all. And so this is another aspect which happens due to meaningful connections. And today we speak about return on relationship. We see the return on relationship in a business rather than the ROI, return on investment. So relationships play a very, very vital role in today's high pressure and rapid speed of innovation and obsolescence.
That's very well put in, Dr. Sagarika. And maybe in my sense, what I believe from this is, when you are talking about the connection quotient and when you know the purpose, why it is important in our life, so we very well understand the pivotal components in our life, be it ourselves, be it our family members, the team, the organization and society, and maybe the total outer world as a whole. So maybe we have our audience also, maybe I would like to take their perspective in, if anybody would like to have their views and any point of view on this, why meaningful connection to ourselves and with the outer world is important. Maybe I would invite either Sumit sir, Parag sir, Deepak sir, Rituji, anybody would like to come forward and share their perspective on what is and why it is important in their perspective, in their life journey. Yeah.
Well, I don't know whether it's a perspective or not, but absolutely amazing listening to both the honorable speakers, Sagarika and Pravasi. It was definitely an addition to our thought process. What I wanted to explore, maybe together or whatever, when you say connection quotient, are there any scientific studies which have led to some kind of a dipstick for measurement? It may be subjective also. For example, those Likert and Thurstone scales where, everything cannot be quantified, or maybe a numerical answer you get, whichever way. Are there any such things? For instance, if I want to understand that what is my connection quotient personally and professionally, is there a way that I can do a self-assessment? That was my perspective. I really don't have a thought to give. I just wanted to explore this.
Okay.
Thank you, Sudhir, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah. Anubhavaji, would you like to answer on that about the query?
All right. So, interesting insight, Sumit. What I would share here is in the connection quotient, you will see we are talking about self-analysis, right? So I put it into the approach, and there is something called approach avoidance. In the connection quotient, into the Likert scale that you talked about, whether it is so that it enables on the honesty, courageous, and human interconnection. Now, this is a very powerful element, let me tell you, which actually gives an outcome, because you talked about the research space. So the variable, it works on the two things. One is on the result and improvement into the relationship. Interestingly, the connection quotients actually enable us to eliminate our human qualities and use these to connect with others. And it discusses the differences and expand the insight and encourage the development of new ideas. There is also something, the CQ, I put it this way. It has helped in introducing a new workplace culture where I have witnessed that organization and teams can actually approach the personal and professional thought, through a more transparent and inclusive style. So I would say that, CQ makes it possible to play hard on the ball, but I would say soft on the individual. So I hope that will give an answer.
That's very well put in, Anubhaji. And
it explains well, but I was looking for something beyond that. Is there a measure that we can really, where do I stand, for instance, as on date? Is there a
Mr.
measure?
Chaudhary, if I can add my inputs here?
Yeah, sure, Dr.
Well, the measure has been developed for probably IQ and EQ, not yet for CQ, but I have a feeling in due course of time, it will develop with several parameters and a rubric will be created around them. Nevertheless, coming to the second part, there can be a group of questions where you can analyze your level of CQ in terms of how many right answers did you get out of the total, and therefore, make a study of exactly where you are standing in terms of CQ.
We use those questionnaires for a variety of reasons. For instance, flexibility in leadership. You can't have a score, but you can always have, often, rarely, sometimes kind of a scale. This is what I was looking for, that is there a way to gauge my current state?
So Sumit, I would
you have explained very well, all three of you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
If I can.
Yeah.
So can I come in? I think I have
please.
something for Sumit here. Like there's something called ONA, Organization Network Analysis. So basically, the organization network analysis, it actually it's like there are variables, and you know who is talking to whom, who is interacting with whom, who is being left out in the organization. And it's a pretty scientific way of knowing the connections in an organization. So maybe it's a rudimentary way of finding out the connection question, but it is there.
Yeah, and
Very
if
well.
I can quickly add to what has been said. So while I am not aware if there's a connection quotient survey available out there, but one of the things that I experienced a few years back is a social styles TRACOM assessment, wherein one part of it is versatility. And I see a lot of overlap between what we were talking about and the survey. So it essentially asks others to tell you how well you have been able to modify yourself to be able to connect with them. So I would see connection quotient from the same lens, wherein it's less about how I think, how good I am connecting with others, and it will be more of others telling me that, okay, they have been working with me for, let's say, 6 months, 12 months, how well I have been able to connect with them, and that could be a good input. So that's a Likert scale based survey, which tells where in terms of versatility you see or others see you. And that gives us a very good perspective of the blind spots that we have. And that goes into, there's a deeper research into it. But we have found that more than 50% of people think that they are doing very well in terms of connecting with others. But the reality is that others feel very differently about them.
Very well put in, Pravasi Bhushan. Yeah.
So
I'd just like to Sorry.
Yeah, I will just,
Yes.
I have sent an answer to all of you. There is a relationship quotient
Yeah.
test, which is already available. I have put it into the chat box. So maybe you can take it in future and get to know what is the level of relationship orientation you have with other people. So kudos.
Yeah,
Yes, I saw that. Thank you very much. Thank
That's
you.
great. So let's move ahead. And like there are a lot of people I am seeing in this audience panel, and one question which has generally come from the audience before we are starting with this session, that what would you like in your mindset that we can add to this ISTD great activity of this Manthan series, where we all get the exposure of our expert audience, our experienced panel audience members. So how we can make this a more impactful ISTD daily chapter? Any view? I would like to have your perspective, Pravasi Bhushan and Sagarika, then, and maybe from the audience, I would say.
Probably I can start, Sagarika, if that's okay with you.
Please do.
So,
Yeah.
Sudhir, overall, I think this is great in terms of just getting people together and talking to each other and getting ideas. For example, the question that Sumit asked also created more discussions and got us a resource from Anubha. So I think that's great. If we have more topics which are around training and development, would love to be a more active participant in Manthan going forward. And most importantly, picking a cue from Sumit's question, if those topics can have some sort of a research background, then that will be even more wonderful. So if certain resources can be shared after each talk, that, okay, on this particular topic, you heard a discussion, here are some additional resources that you can go through, that will be quite helpful.
That's wonderful. And your perspective, Sagarika, how we can make a better impact and
I
going
think
forward?
we should actually practically implement what we have discussed today at ISTD very strongly. And I think online communication, technology communication is not a place or a channel where you can discuss things where there are conflict and difference of opinion. There we need to only have information passed on, messages passed on, which are important. And at the same time, people who are having a difference of opinion or in a position of conflict should have the ability and the space to meet face to face, discuss the issues by following a particular decorum of conflict management and how to deal with difficult conversations. I believe in my heart, no person is difficult. It's just that we are seeing him from a different lens. And when the two people sit together and discuss out things, in communication, there are three aspects which are very important. Any kind of communication that happens has to happen following three primary principles. Number one is courage, second is civility, and third is compassion. If you include these three aspects in any kind of communication, then there is a chance for greater resolution of issues, and every person within the issue will be a happier person and will be able to understand the other person's perspective. This is my view. So face-to-face communication and dialogue. Dialogue is a two-way communication where each person understands the other person's perspective. Probably you can also go for role playing where the other person plays the other person's role, enacts the other person to understand the perspective and the views of the other person, and therefore has a greater sense of empathy towards the other person, and therefore comes to some kind of a resolution. So empathy is totally wiped out in virtual communication. WhatsApp is not a place where you can resolve issues. Intention has to be resolution of issues so that everybody can work together and be more productive and upgrade the standard of ISTD. So that is my viewpoint.
That's wonderful, and we highly appreciate our speakers and panel views. And I would like to now invite Linsu for the closing sentence and his views, because he has been the man behind the scenes for creating this wonderful session today. Linsu Koshi.
I'm not the only man, please forgive me. I'm not the only person behind this. So there are so many people, including Sudhirji, including Pravasi and Sagarika, because a lot of hard work goes behind the scene. So it's not me alone. Dr. Anubha is also there, Ajay is also there, everyone is there. So Thank you so much for being part of this. It's an honor to have all of you because, as I mentioned earlier also, Pravasi ji is also, part of the global learning team, and Sagarika is a global keynote speaker. So having their point of view is something that, that it's not just something that, we discuss on a daily basis. When we have experts, when we have, people from such backgrounds coming in and, sharing their experiences, their valuable points, and, as a good point also come up that, we can share research-based, reports as well. That is something that, we can improve in our coming sessions. So thank you so much for joining. And one thing I would like to add here, as Sagarika mentioned, that, we should start the meeting personally, that where we can actually go ahead and, solve the issues and, ensure that we have better communication quotient, where we have better understanding, we have empathy towards each other. For that, there's an announcement that I have to make. One is that, we already am sure that all of you know, but still, I'll again would like to reiterate that we have every fourth Saturday. Okay, every fourth Saturday we have Delhi Dynamite Club meeting going on. So now we have had the first one last month, but on this fourth Saturday we are again having it. So it's a Delhi chapters meet, I would say, not just a Delhi Dynamite Club, wherein we will not just discuss and discuss various ideas, various concepts are there. We are going to have a good amount of time with each other. But yes, it's a chapter meet also. So I would request all of you to come forward, have a meeting. Let's connect personally. Let's have empathy. Let's have a good connect with each other. And it's a wonderful platform. And many of us who are sitting here were part of it. Yes, in the last meeting. And I would like to invite all of you to that session. So please ensure on every fourth Saturday we are having Delhi chapters meet. We have called it as Delhi Dynamite Club. So anything, Anubha ji, you would like to add?
No, I think you have done pretty well. So it's an honest request to each member of our Delhi chapter. So please come. We will be having an engagement from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the fourth Saturday of every month. So the first engagement, the concept was actually given by Ajay Sahu sir. And trust me, the first engagement was on book reading. It was very well appreciated. It was very well recognized, and a lot of learning we all had. So I think let's have another engagement on the fourth Saturday, and we're really looking forward to meet each one of you. Yes. Any insight,
Yeah.
sir, from you?
Ajay sir?
Okay. Yeah, taking what Sagarika and Linsu thank you from what they said. I think the fourth Saturday we should set aside for our physical meetings and every month. So we look forward to meet all of you this fourth Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank
So
you.
much.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So can we have one commemorative photograph, because this is one of the best, I would say, first session, but it would be a good thing where the connection quotient with all the 20 plus audience members, including the panelists, the speakers, Anubhava ji, Linsu, Ajay ji, and Sumit ji, and many others.
Very nice. So if you can come on the screen, that will be wonderful. Deepak sir, Arpit, Shivani, Ashish, please come on the Deepak sir. If you can come on the screen, it'd be wonderful to have each one of you. Lovely. And a beautiful smile, please. Thank you. Fabulous. Have been clicked well. It will be posted in the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.